Most of the time when I start Legacy Talks, I'm always introducing myself as the co-founder of Legacy Business League. That is because there is another founder, and her name is Keva Scott. Oftentimes, you'll see her in this seat interviewing people, bringing you information and resources as well. And today, we just want to take a step back and tell you all of the exciting things that we have going on with Legacy Business League in partnership with Heritage Global Group. That is the economic arm of Legacy Business League. It's really another organization that focuses on the economic development piece and brings the wraparound services to businesses, startup and existing, so they can be more successful in various areas and industries. And she's going to tell us all about that, in addition to learning a little bit about herself, because again, we're usually in this driver's seat and we don't necessarily talk about what inspires us and how we even got started. So that's what we're going to do here today. Welcome, Kiva. Again, I know that you're usually in the driver's seat, but we're happy to have you and hear about all the exciting things that are about to happen with Legacy and Heritage. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your primary role, and what brought you to the coast.
Sure. Well, Angie, thank you for having me on the Legacy Talk. I feel privileged to be able to be interviewed. You're doing a good job with those things. You've had some really good interviews this week, and I'm glad that I get to close the week out and the month out, Black History Month out. We're talking a little bit about Heritage Global Group. So, what brought me to the coast is most folks associate me with Boys and Girls Clubs of the Gulf Coast. I'm the CEO for Boys and Girls Clubs of the Gulf Coast. I've been in that particular role for 5 years. I've been in Boys and Girls Club work. We call it the movement. So I've been in the Boys and Girls Club movement for 25 years. I love what I do. I love working with young people, working on behalf of young people. So in that position, I oversee the daily operations of now 6 clubs and along the coast. We have a club in almost every city in Harrison County, and then also in Bay St. Louis out in Hancock County. Boys and Girls Club serves about 5,000 young people a year. Daily prior to COVID, we were serving about 1,200 kids. And now we have an exciting virtual program called the Virtual Hub, where young people who have compromised immune systems, or their families who have compromised immune systems, they're able to come to the club and complete their education in partnership with their district. And then we also have our traditional after school program and sports and all of the wraparound services that young people need to thrive and grow and become good human beings. And so when I took this position, it gave me the opportunity to get closer to home. I consider the coast home. Grew up in Mobile, Alabama, and we have family in Moss Point, all the way, over to New Orleans. And so it gave me a chance to get closer to home and be around. I call it the Cheers moment, that old television show Cheers. Sometimes you got to go where everybody knows your name and they're always glad you came. So, when I left Mobile at 17, it would be 25, 26 years later before I was able to get home to stay. And so I'm excited to be close to home, and I'm excited to be doing the work that you and I are engaged in right now.
Well, I'm excited that you're here too. I met you 5 years ago. I was a board member on the Boys and Girls Club. Well, and I am engaged in the Emeritus on board for, I guess, would make about 16 years now. So I'm very familiar with the movement, and I think that you have transformed that organization. And there's a lot of new exciting things on the horizon. So we're going to have you and some of your counterparts in the movement back on to really talk about some of the engaging items that you have going on. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the relationship between Legacy Business League and Heritage Global Group. If you all remember, it was about 7 years ago, 8 years now, that we started a networking group called the Legacy Group, and that just came out of the necessity of really hoping to get more minorities visible in organizations where we were underrepresented. So it really just started out as lunches, and we maintained that for several years, where we had guest speakers talking about various topics. It was a lot about personal development, and really hearing from CEOs of organizations, executive directors, and even small business owners, inspirational speakers, and head executives, to talk about the struggles that they had and challenges that they overcame, so that we could be inspired by their message. About 30% of the people that attended the sessions were small business owners. So we all had an opportunity to listen to minority businesses highlight their products and services so that we could go out and support them. It resulted in having many of us become engaged in areas that we didn't know that either we were welcome or didn't know that deadlines were coming up for board positions, or award ceremonies or leadership programs. And we have measurable results in showing where people of color and with ethnic backgrounds were then involved and engaged. And so Keva, when she moved here, obviously learned about the Legacy Group, and she left a legacy in a place that she came from, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about why she inspired me for us to merge, like-minded institution and initiatives, but with hers with a little bit more intimate knowledge of how to directly help and impact businesses to help them be sustainable. So Keva, why don't you tell the story about what you saw when you came into the market, and how you saw a vision for what this could be.
Sure. So, much like what you said, I became involved with Legacy through getting to know you and knowing what you were doing. And just like, other folks that were around the table at that time, Carlos Bell, Jonathan August, a couple of other folks, we were pushing to have Legacy become more. One of the things that you mentioned was at those luncheons, we would hear from entrepreneurs, and you created a good space for them to be able to showcase their products and services and that kind of thing. But they'd also talk about, other challenges that they were having. And then we began to meet would-be entrepreneurs, folks that wanted to start their business, that had gone to different agencies and very good agencies, but they needed some support in either filling out, their business loan information or their incorporation papers, or getting a website, or advice on marketing material. And me, you, and others found ourselves giving advice and trying to help and be as helpful as we could, and then realize this is something that we need to offer as a service. And so I think after about a year, maybe even 2 years, honestly, of discussion, we decided to merge. So my experience, a lot of people don't know this, but my degree is in business, and I love everything about it. I grew up in a entrepreneurial family. Everybody in my family has some type of side gig. They have their regular job, then they have a side gig. But that comes from my grandfather, who was an entrepreneur. And so, he fed his family and left a heritage of business ownership for us. Heritage Global Group gets its name from the idea of legacy that my grandfather left for us, about being enterprising and having businesses and having a way for you to earn income. If everything fell out, you can use the tools that were in your hand and see if you could make those profitable for you, your own skills, your knowledge, your abilities, and see if that could be profitable for you. And so that's the type of information we wanted to get out to folks. And my experience with working with churches to help them incorporate and get 501c3s so that they could develop community development corporations and do the work of Christ, while also preaching and serving, but then also, being able to not leave people how you found them. And so, you get a good message, but then you go home, and many people didn't have a home, and so we were able to start shelters and start youth development programs and start GED classes and that kind of thing, which is, what I believe is the work of the church. And so together, it was giving them access, which is what you were doing through Legacy, getting them a seat at the table, getting them on those boards, helping with professional development, how to speak, how to talk, how to dress, how to walk into a setting. But then it was also some of that technical hard skill on, how do you fill out this loan application? How do you get your credit repaired so that you can qualify for a loan? How do you design a marketing plan? People can give you a packet of information and say, hey, this is where you put your pro forma, but if you don't know what all goes into a pro forma, you're still at a disadvantage. And you, like I know, that a lot of our folks just don't have access to that information. It's not that they can't do it. It's that you don't know what you don't know. And so we saw very quickly our responsibility, yours and mine, was to make sure that we arm people with information.
Sure.
And what we found is that when you give people information, they soar. You give them information and you give them support, and then they're able to do it for themselves.
Yes. And that would be a good segue into talking about the initiative. But before we do that, I really want you to take another step back and tell us, over the past year, you have been the brainchild for many of the items that help folks directly. And one of the things that you came up with during the social injustice crisis, particularly just after George Floyd's murder, on camera, was to set up listening sessions. Tell us a little bit about that, and where you see that going and helping the community in the future.
Sure. So, most things that we've come up with happen organically. They just happen out of conversation or, experiences that we've had. And the listening sessions was that as well. I think you and I, as several other of our friends too, I know I had some of my Caucasian friends reach out to me and say, hey, Keva, listen, have I missed something? If I did, I'm listening, talk to me, tell me how I can help, and you and I had a conversation. We were like, well, listen, if folks are willing to listen, then we should tell them.
Yeah.
And so we started thinking through, what should we tell them? And one of the things that we found to be really, really important was to make sure that folks understood that, in spite of whatever it is that you may think, it is a system. That, we fought very hard in our individual lives, and taught our kids and taught people that, friends and stuff that we know, that there are ways to overcome it. But we still have to pause and understand that this is, you don't even know, some of the things that have gone on systematically to hold minorities, and in particular African Americans, back. And so we wanted to not give opinion and not give thought. So we went to the history books, and we went to some of the laws that were on the books, and created a curriculum. I forgot how many weeks it was now. But what we did was we invited our friends at first, just an intimate group of our friends who knew, Angie and Keva wouldn't make an excuse like that, who didn't know, that, I'm the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company here, but I have to call you when I get pulled over by the police because I'm terrified, and so to see some of our friends be shocked that that's not happened, not one, not two, but 3 times that's happened, where I've called you and like, be on the phone with me. One of my employees was able to corroborate, I couldn't get you one time, and I called one of my employees to be on the phone, because that's the, sometimes you're gripped with sheer terror. And having our friends to understand that, who love us, who know us, that mattered. And then, so from there, the goal was then our friends, they invited some of their friends in the circle group. And then from there, we invited, who needs to be here? Because we all love each other and we agree. Who needs to be here that would not agree? That maybe if we can get them in this conversation, we can help them to understand. Again, we're only inviting people that said they wanted to listen. So if you don't want to listen, you don't need to be here. We're going to love you the same. We're going to get along. But, we're trying to only go for those who wanted to listen. And I would say that those were some very impactful sessions. We need to get back to it. We collected some data. There were some good stories to tell out of that. And we really need to publish, and I'll probably work on that some soon, but we need to publish some of the findings and our thoughts that came out of that. But it was a time that I really enjoyed, for sure.
Well, I appreciate your leadership on that, and I agree that it's an ongoing conversation about unconscious bias and really understanding the origin, because oftentimes we don't even realize how it's part of our how enculturated we are in our thoughts and our actions and where it came from. It's just like, this sounds very simplistic and elementary when I say, if a recipe for gumbo can go down through the generation, so can racism. And if it's not overt racism, then it's subtle ways of thinking that you bring into the workplace, that you bring into various organizations when you sit on boards. So what we, I think, left with that is to say that we need to be very intentional, and we asked our Caucasian friends to be very intentional about having conversations, or when somebody makes a derogatory statement to, you don't have to stand up and throw things, you just have to say, hey, you know what, that makes me a little uncomfortable. Or if you don't even want to say that, then you find a way to use your voice to incorporate diversity and inclusion in some way into your workplace and into your life. So
Right.
thank you for that. Now, you told a little bit about your background in terms of helping small businesses directly in churches, and it's a passion of yours. I've seen you mentor even in children throughout the Boys and Girls Club in a way to grow and to fulfill their full potential, which is part of the mission. And so and you use the word access several times. And that leads us into the fact that the Heritage Global Group is launching the Access Project Initiative, or otherwise known as TAP. So tell us about TAP and what is it going to give the participants that we hope will apply access to?
Yeah. So TAP is designed, well, let me say, there are three pieces. We have some partners that have given us seed funding to make sure that we develop this program and that we get it out to, individuals on the coast who feel need to have access to leadership development and support. The first one is existing businesses. And so if there are businesses out there that need support, you've been around, you're established, you may have some trouble pivoting in this virtual reality. We can help you with that. There may be some that need some marketing support or advertisement, and we want to be able to help you with that as well. And then there are would-be entrepreneurs or new startups. So if you're a new business that's just bringing your product or service to market, or if you have a business plan or a business idea, we'll carry you through the feasibility study. And what will come out of that is a marketing plan that you will be able to take to a lender and hopefully get funding. Now we don't promise funding,
Yeah.
but we will certainly carry you through all of the elements that are important to make a business plan be strong enough to receive funding. And then the last one is small business fair. Again, this idea that we don't know what we don't know. There's several small businesses all over the Gulf Coast, and we're going to host a free business fair for them to come to and showcase their businesses. And this will be at the convention center in Biloxi, and it'll be in May of this year. We haven't set the date yet, but we will, once we have that set, we'll push that out. The value add to this business fair is that we will have a franchise fair that runs alongside concurrently with the fair. And the reason why we chose that is that franchises are in the ring with you to make sure that your business succeeds. They have a stake in it. Their brand is on it. And so we want people to get connected. And there's so many small businesses that people don't know about that are easy to get into. Doesn't cost a lot of money. You're going to get all the support that you need. And we need to be able to give access. Now, all of these things, Angie, as you know, is an access thing. You don't know, all of the studies, that you and I've been reading, we've been looking at. The issue has been education. You don't know that there are grants out there, or loans out there, that are available to you. But how do you qualify for those things? And so we want to share that information. We want to support you. we went out looking for funding because we don't charge anybody anything. We don't want to charge you a dime. We want you to be able to get this information, allow us to work with you in designing your plan, and then hopefully be able to get that funded. Now, the best part about this is those that go through the program get seed money for their businesses. So the top prize gets $2,000 grant to be able to put into your business, and the runner-up gets $1,000, and everyone else will receive some level of seed funding. And so we're just super excited to be able to provide this service, this opportunity, this access to those that are on the coast.
And when you say winner, everyone is going to have the opportunity to kind of do some homework throughout the process, and there will be some oversight with coaches and mentors who've been there, right? Some small business owners, people who are in larger industries on the coast. And there will probably be one person that just kind of rises above the others. We don't, necessarily want them to think that they have to compete against another business and be more so that they, complete the work, complete it thoroughly. They're innovative, they're creative, and it's a Shark Tank type feel, correct? And for those who don't know what the Shark Tank is, it's an ABC show where there's entrepreneurs and millionaires who then field ideas and then kind of decide whether those are viable ideas. So Keva, tell us a little bit about what those participants should expect, and keeping in mind that the pay incentive or the grant for those who go through a longer process, that's for the startup, correct?
Right.
And then, but we still are going to help existing businesses too.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. So existing businesses, we'll have it on the website where you can just apply. Hey, I need help. I need help with, going virtual. I need help with driving more customers to my, to my store. The startup and the entrepreneurial program is for 12 weeks. And we will have guided sessions. And this is for people who work. So, this is not school by any stretch of the imagination. We have made this curriculum very simple and easy to understand, because again, what we were finding was that people were, having a hard time understanding the things that they were getting offline or things that they were getting at some of these other places. And so we have made this really, put it in bite-sized pieces so that, everybody can digest it well. Now, I'm excited about this group of judges. We have some of the best, some heavy hitters here on the coast. I won't give the names just yet, but it's from in every area of industry, and as you said, and people that are at the top of their game. And what we have done is brought in people who own businesses. They already own businesses. Their businesses are doing well. And those are the folks that will be presenting to you. And so then we got judges who, have been, in their field and in their industry for many years. We have some of the top business owners that will be presenting to you. And then we also have what we're calling TAP coaches. And this is someone who's assigned to you for the 12 weeks. And their job is to keep you encouraged and to help you push through those 12 weeks. And so they're going to reach out to you every week. Sometimes a telephone call, sometimes a text. You guys can jump on Zoom, but they are there to help you each week. Your assignment, and they're small assignments, but all of those pieces feed into that business plan. And then at the end, you'll have a pitch. Now we're gonna call this friendly competition, but let me say, this gets you ready for the market. This gets you ready for the market to be able to pull people inside of your business. You want to put your all into it. You want to wow those and you're not by yourself, because the coaches will have a little friendly competition with them. They want whoever their participant is to win. So there's an element of fun to this that we're super excited about. So if you're interested, go onto our website, and you can type in IamLegacy.org, and it will take you to the legacybusinesslead.org's website.
You can see it here.
And right there, the Access Project.
So it's on the home page, and if you click right here, it takes you to a landing page, and then you can click here to apply, and just a few short answers
Yeah.
here, and then you're gonna hit submit.
Yep.
And we will get back to you just after the launch, which is going to be or just before the end of March.
Yeah. March the 22nd is what we have slated as our launch date. But we would encourage you to go ahead and apply. If you are interested in just business services, put that on there. You know, I don't want, if you're interested in the startup or entrepreneur program, then you put that on there. And like I said, we'll let you know about the business fair. It's going to be in May, and that's going to be fun as well. But if you're interested, iamlegacy.org. iamlegacy.org. Go to that page. It'll take you to the Legacy Business League page. You look, tap is right there in a banner. Fill that out, and we're glad to serve you.
What are you hoping for in aiding businesses like this to utilize the services and sustain themselves in the future? Like, why do you do what you do? And what are you hoping for in the future for us?
So, you know, Angie, I grew up as I said, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. We grew up in a neighborhood in Mobile where we saw people that looked like us own businesses. And, you know, it's like with anything else. It communicated to me that I could. I don't know that I ever thought that I wanted to, but it certainly made me know that I could. You know, our pharmacists look like me, our teachers look like me, the guy who washed the cars, the pizza joint, all of that, and so I want, my primary work is with youth, and that's my passion. Like kids are my whole entire passion. I want kids to believe that they can. And I think the way that they believe that they can is seeing adults who could and did. So that's one piece. Is I want a legacy. I want a heritage for the coast of my babies being able to know that they can go own their business because their parents own businesses. Then the other piece of that, which many would think should be my primary piece, but it's not, is that there's an economic power that's harnessed when people own their business. Being able to create jobs and being able to, well, first of all, being able to bring your idea to market, being able to bring that to fruition. And then being able, because you were obedient to the idea, you were able to create jobs and economic security for your family if you do it right. And then, and the rising tide lifts all the boats, as you begin to do well and you're opening businesses and people are being a patron to you, people are feeling like they can go and open businesses, as well. Now, I'm not saying that everybody in the world needs to be an entrepreneur. Somebody has to work for the other.
Work at a hospital, yeah.
But you know what? I believe that everybody can have an entrepreneurial spirit when you come to work. Is that even if you run a department, if you would run that like it's yours, if you would take on the ownership of that in a spirit of, that it is yours, in a spirit of pride, like it is yours. And I think we would all agree that people that approach jobs that way just work for the company, they contribute to the company in a way that, makes the company better.
Sure. I think that's great advice. And thank you for that, because I was sitting here thinking, do I do that? I don't know that I do that every day. That's a great advice. Thank you. So is there anything else that you want to tell us about either Boys and Girls Club or Heritage Global Group, and what's going on in the future before we start to wind down?
Sure. Heritage is, again, as Angie said, it's our economic development arm, business services. We have just launched Heritage Global Group Live. So it's HGG Live, where we are doing live events. And, we are working with someone in our community right now in redoing, helping them to relaunch their event. Where they needed a website and needed some business services and that kind of thing, and so we supported them in that effort. And then we are working on in March to have an event for first responders to be able to celebrate them. And I'm super excited that we HGG Live just got the contract for SWAC. So we're working with Sideline Sports and Carlos Bell to put on the SWAC softball tournament this year, and that'll be in May the 11th or the 14th, as a matter of fact. So got a lot going on.
Yeah, we do. And I was gonna say, so maybe that expo we might do, maybe it might be first part of June. Who knows? But we want to keep to the calendar only because the expo is really for the people who are involved to showcase their products and services. That's going to be part of the training. We'll look at how they set it up. We'll look at the marketing materials and collateral that they have. And you know, and it will be open to more businesses, right? It's not just for the participants of the expo. It'll be and our partners in this are East Biloxi Community Collaborative and Hancock Whitney. So we want to thank them for allowing us to do this, because without them we wouldn't be able to do this. So our main focus is going to be East Biloxi, but Hancock Whitney allowed us to expand it to areas where they have branches. And so we'll be taking that into consideration when you fill out the application. Okay, so you know the drill. I always kind of end by asking the folks in the hot seat, what do you do for fun? What inspires you? Any books that you read? Any podcasts? And so we can take away and maybe invest in those things for ourselves.
So I am in a PhD program. I don't know that it's fun, but that's what I'm doing. So that, you know, when I'm not doing this, it takes up a lot of my time. I have an 88-year-old grandmother in Mobile that I absolutely adore. And so it is important for me to spend time with her. And then I come up with other stuff to do, as you well know. So that's what I do in my spare time. Yeah. You know, I'm reading books for school. I'm hanging with my grandmama, and I'm coming up with more stuff for us to do.
Yes, yes, you do. But it's really good stuff. And it's just, and I think it's everybody's inspired and excited. And I'm so glad that you chose the coast to make your home and to make an impact in the organization that you lead, the Boys and Girls Club movement, and the movement of Legacy Business League and Heritage Global Group. So I'm glad that we finally got a chance to just kind of talk about what we have going on. I think we probably will do this a little bit more often. We do encourage you to go to the website. There is an area where you can put in your email address to get on the mailing list. If you've done that recently, we will be getting back to you and ensuring that you receive some of the great information that we have coming up. And I'll leave it, you know, right now it's going to air on 2/25, so it may be dated by the time you see it, but we are also working with Hancock Whitney on a Small Business Matters the Resources Expo, and that's going to be an ongoing series targeting small businesses. And this time we have someone from the South Mississippi Planning and Development Commission, the SBA, and the Boston Bingham, that's going to talk about free or discounted legal services for people of color or women who own businesses. So lots of things going on, and I'm just excited about the future. So tune in for the next Legacy Talks. We'll have some other great, exciting topics coming up in March. And Keva, thank you again for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.